Their blonde interview girl tried to interview Tyler Breeze. He cut a promo while taking pictures of himself on his phone, saying his debut was magnificent and breathtaking and gorgeous just like him. And as he was talking, a dreadlocked dude passed by in the background and began to video bomb him epically. And he was making a bunch of goofy faces. He disappeared and came back with his own dreadlock across his upper lip like a mustache. He disappeared, and I was hoping we'd come back, but he never did. And Tyler just said he had a catchphrase. Oh, it was telling the interview girl to say Tyler Breeze has left the building. Had a Wyatt family...
No idea who that guy was.
Video. I don't either. I don't care. He was great.
Although I do remember last week where you were ranting about Tyler Breeze and what he did on the show.
His post-entrance thing, yes.
And then Renee announced that last week he had taken NXT by storm.
Well, his entrance was great.
It's like, oh yeah?
Everything after that was less than what I'd hoped for. French Stallion and Scott Dawson met with the dudes from the 1970s Jersey Shore backstage. I forget their names, but that's the best way to describe them. And they were acting all wacky. They told Dawson he had to crush Mason Ryan tonight. Sylvester LaForte said the money was all that mattered, and that one dreadlock guy showed up to video bomb the whole thing.
This was a very complex segment.
I
took no notes.
There was a lot going on for really to accomplish nothing.
Now, the next segment I took some notes for.
Summer Rae versus Emma in a dance battle. So we had our first god-awful Tyler Breeze segment of the week.
Oh, my God.
He was doing an interview with Renee Young when the photobombing guy, who we've been watching this every week now for at least a month, and he's been on had a segment on every show where he photobombs guys and makes faces and stuff, and he was never identified by name until this week.
Yep.
He just showed up, made some wacky faces, moved on. So the upshot of all this is that this guy, the photoshopper, or the photo bomber, I should say, maybe photoshopping too for all I know, but he made bunny ears behind Tyler Breeze in a photo. And when Tyler Breeze discovered this, he was outraged and appalled. And that's really giving it too much credit, because it was more, he didn't sell this enough to make it funny. If he had just taken this to the limit and gone over the top with it, at least it would have been nutty and zany and ridiculous and silly.
See, I see this completely differently from you.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Breeze wants this girl to take his picture, and this CJ Parker fella, who unfortunately is not, in fact, Pamela Anderson, he does the bunny ears, at which point Tyler Breeze, upon seeing the picture, does in fact have a flip out and announces that his life is ruined.
That is what he said.
My life is ruined.
His dialogue was over the top.
My life is ruined.
His performance of this dialogue was understated and low key. We agree it was bullshit.
The Tyler Breeze character, if the guy can work, and again, I don't know because all he does is gimmick, but if the guy could work, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a guy whose gimmick was that he was an international model who was really good looking and made millions of dollars modeling, and he was also so goddamn good at wrestling that you hated him even more? Wouldn't that be like a good gimmick? Instead, you've got this weird guy that I think he's a model. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the gimmick. But he's so upset that someone photobombed an iPhone photo that he has alerted us that his life has been ruined. And what is he even doing here? Because he doesn't wrestle. I hate this gimmick. Not a fan.
CJ Parker, the photobomber, he comes out. He's doing a hippie gimmick.
He's a crazed stoner.
He has...
Named after Pamela Anderson in Baywatch.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know.
He has colorful braids. He's introduced as hailing from the Moonchild commune. He does a wacky dance. And I don't know what any of this has to do with the photobombing he's been doing for the past month.
It's a very unique entrance, and I will give CJ Parker a chance. There's a lot of guys that come down that ramp, and they're just dudes. CJ Parker is something different. That's for sure.
There's no question of that.
Match was like a minute long, maybe, and it was a squash.
Yeah, he won with a palm strike and a wacky DDT. And he then cut a promo afterwards, and throughout this promo, they were constantly cutting the fans. And the fans never looked that excited.
They were baffled.
That's a better good word for it, yes.
He said he was a hippie and not a photobomber, which is patently false.
Well, he didn't deny with his actions. He just said it was not photobombing. He called it video loving, which I don't want to see. So, out came Tyler Breeze.
Yep. He reiterated that his life had been ruined.
He put the photobomb of himself on the big screen. And he got in the ring, and my notes here read, the dueling cartoon characters went back and forth.
So he's an international successful model, but his life has been ruined because someone photobombed his iPhone photo taken backstage at NXT.
Yeah. And so Parker teased a punch.
After saying, and I quote, chill out, hot boy. That's what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tyler Breeze flinched, and he bailed, and he asked Parker to stay out of his pictures.
I believe that a heel should be able to be taken seriously, and I cannot do that yet with Tyler Breeze.
You don't say. Speaking of goofy segments, CJ Parker versus Tyler Breeze. So you've got one guy who is Pam Anderson's name and is pretending to be a hippie, and the other guy who's pretending to be a model. And the first spot in this match involved tickling. The second spot involved one guy trying to grab a cell phone and the other guy getting mad about it. They did an airplane spin. This was Looney Tunes. I was watching Looney Tunes here on NXT.
On the bright side, Tyler Breeze worked for a while.
Yeah.
And he's good.
Yes. When he actually wrestles, he's good. So here's the finish. Breeze won after hitting Parker with a cellular phone.
Right in the eye. That was the gimmick. Got him in the eyeball. With the antenna, I'm sure.
Never before has the phrase, in 2013, been more appropriate. He hit him with a cell phone.
There are people that thought I was going to be outraged at CJ Parker's one-legged tights. Have you seen CJ Parker? Of course he's got tights with one leg. I had no problem with this whatsoever.
He is, I don't know how to describe CJ. He's supposed to be a hippie, I guess. But so
he can only afford one pant leg.
Even among hippies, he would stand out as being weird.
Yeah. This was fine. An enjoyable segment.
The best part of this was when Tyler hit CJ with the cell phone, and Regal explained in about almost exactly this tone, those cell phones are deadly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they are.
He wrestled a man named Michael Kumari. The main event was an 8-man tag with Xavier Woods, CJ Parker, Corey Graves, and Adrian Neville against Tyler Breeze, Leo Kruger, and the Ascension. The star of this, almost literally without doing anything, was Tyler Breeze. For like 10 minutes, he didn't get in. Everyone else just took turns doing stuff, just wrestling each other, and Breeze just stood there in the apron. Finally, the fans were begging, we want Breeze.
That's what they said. We want Breeze.
So about 10 minutes in, the heels trap Woods in their corner, and as they're working him over, Breeze blind tags himself in.
Yeah.
He gets in the ring, and Xavier Woods punches him, and Breeze panics. He rakes Woods' eyes, and he tags himself back out.
Mm-hmm.
This took 7 seconds. Crowd roared their approval and told him he was awesome.
You know what's funny about this is, obviously the storyline is, the guy is a coward.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He tags in when his opponent is hurt. He attempts to attack him. And then if the opponent fights back and punches him in the face, he immediately tags out. Cowardice. However, if this were real, this is a perfectly fine tag team strategy. Right? You got 3 more men on your team. As soon as you start getting hit, tag out.
Yes. So,
in fact, the babyfaces at the beginning of this match were doing quick tags. Like one guy would tag in, do a move, tag out. Next guy tags in, do a move, tag out. Quick tags over and over and over again.
Well, the key difference there is they were always on offense when they tagged out. Tyler
see.
Breeze was using his teammates to fight his battles for him.
Well, yeah, he's smart. He's
So
got a dumb team.
he blind tagged himself in a second time, and he had a few moves. But again, the first time he was hit, he ran for his corner and tagged back out. Crowd was just going nuts for all this.
Easy crowd.
It broke down into an 8-way, and somewhere in here, Breeze was in the ring, and he attempted to crawl to his corner to tag out, and his teammates were all pissed at him, and they all jumped off the apron and walked out on him. And poor Tyler Breeze was left in the ring. All the babyfaces hit a big move on him. My favorite here was actually CJ Parker's big move was a giant palm thrust.
Palm thrust to the face, at which point everybody booed.
Yes.
How dare you hit Tyler Breeze in the face?
Yes. And Neville hit a corkscrew shooting star press for the win. He remains incredible. And that was it. And the babyfaces all celebrated. Tyler Breeze was soundly defeated. And this was a great episode of NXT with a lot of good wrestling and some wacky hijinks as well.
My notes are so short here.
On the show itself?
I wonder if that's like I think that's a positive.
It can be. It was a very basic show. There was 3 matches in a promo.
But let's start with NXT since that's what I watched first.
Fair enough. We had an incredibly wacky meeting backstage with Tyler Breeze, Brad Maddox, and CJ Parker. I don't know if I can do this justice to try and recap it. In fact, I'm sure I can't. Suffice to say, it led to Maddox forcing Breeze and Parker to team together in the gauntlet match on this show. And at one point, Breeze said he would team with anyone else. He even offered to clone himself. And when he made this announcement, Maddox very nonchalantly, as if he knew Breeze was going to suggest this thing, just said, "That's not possible." I howled.
And then Tyler Breeze went, "Ah!" Literally made that noise and threw his hands in the air and walked off screen.
Yes.
It's funny.
It was funny. This was a good wacky segment. Now, what it led to, so they did a gauntlet match with 4 teams, and
I don't know why they did this.
I have no idea why they did this, because the first 2 matches went a combined 2 minutes.
It was a number 1 contenders gauntlet, and they put guys in the tournament that actually have been used of late on television.
Yes.
I don't want to say in main event roles, but they weren't jobbers. And now all of a sudden they're jobbers.
Actually, Breeze and Parker were in the main event last week.
That's right.
Yeah. At least, granted, they didn't get along here, but the fact that they lost in a minute had nothing to do with them not getting along. They were just wrestling. They were wrestling Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, the Jersey guys. And after about a minute, Cassidy, who's the big 7-footer, he hit Parker with a wacky spinning slam and he pinned him.
Yep.
I don't think Breeze even tagged in.
Moonchild came off as a complete jobber.
Yeah. So this was stupid. I should add, by the way, that Cassidy and Amore come out and they cut a wacky promo. It's a good wacky promo, but everything about this promo screams, "We are heels," but the fans love them and cheer for them.
Well, same with Aiden English.
Yeah. And the main event was Tyler Breeze versus CJ Parker.
They noted, by the way, Lafort and Rusev. And double main event, everybody. Cassius Ohno and Luke Harper.
Oh, that's right. Did I know that?
That's all next week.
I neglected to take notes on that. There was a Luke Harper promo on Cassius Ohno.
Yes.
He got to speak. And he's can't wait to play with his new toy. Because you'll recall, the last time they fought, Parker beat him clean in minutes. So he's coming back to more just to beat him up again.
Yep.
So Breeze and CJ Parker. The gimmick here is that Breeze cut off one of Parker's dreadlocks.
2.
All right, 2.
By the way, remember my pirate outfit that had dreadlocks?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing happened to me.
Somebody cut him off?
Well, I didn't cut it off, but I was doing class.
Tyler Breeze attacked you?
An 8-year-old girl, who in fact may be more intimidating than Tyler Breeze, ripped out one of my dreads out of my bandana. And in fact, my dread is laying on the floor under a chair at the dojo right now, and it looked exactly like the one that was torn out of CJ Parker's hair. Just not multicolored.
So the point is, Parker was missing hair, and this was his revenge match. And so he came out all pissed off and charged in the ring. Problem with this is that his gimmick is that he's a hippie. What a shitty hippie.
Got his hair cut off. Come on now.
So it's not just my opinion. These fans are not accepting of CJ Parker at all. They give him no room to breathe. They booed him. They told him he sucked.
It kind of looks a little like Bo Dallas, coincidentally.
A little bit. They told him he needed a new gimmick. Those were their exact words.
You need a new gimmick?
Something like that.
Your gimmick sucks?
That was it, yeah. They booed his airplane spin. They booed his comeback. I actually started to feel bad for the guy. They love Tyler Breeze and everything he did. And then finally, Parker got the win with his finish is actually a really cool move with a shitty name. It's just a giant palm thrust of death.
Yes.
Just very exaggerated, where he puts his entire body.
It's like Shima's deal that he does.
Yeah. Only not jumping, but yeah, the same idea. So he just hits you with the palm of his hand really fucking hard. It's called the third eye.
Straight up, by the way.
Yeah. And so he hit this move, and he pinned him, and people booed. And then he grabbed the Brutus Beefcake hedge clippers, and he wanted to cut off Breeze's hair, or perhaps his entire head. And Breeze fled to safety, and the last image of the show was Parker in the ring with these clippers doing this stupid dance.
You don't like his dance, do you?
I don't like anything about this act. I like him. He's talented.
You
this
know,
this
NXT, it's always in the same building, Full Sail Arena, and it's in Orlando, or wherever it's at, South Florida, somewhere in Florida. I don't know Florida geography, everybody. I just know I hate Orlando. But anyway, wherever it is in Florida, the Impact Zone was also, and will return, actually, to Florida. And boy, do I remember hearing people complain about the Impact Zone fans. Oh, they try to get themselves over. Oh, they do all of these chants. Oh, they're so hard on the guys, or this and that. You know, and of course that led to, we've got to get out of the Impact Zone. We've got to go on the road. And which, of course, led to, what? Them going back to the Impact Zone. But anyway, I've mentioned this 8 billion times, so I'll make it quick. There have been a million wrestling promotions that have run the same city week after week after week, year after year after year. And you know what? They all had the same fans coming to the show. The same fans came to the show. And you know what that meant? That meant the wrestlers had two choices. They could suck and be exposed by the fans, or they could evolve. You couldn't do the same match every week in front of those fans. It's not like a company where you could do a match and then you go to another town and do the same match, like WWE today. Like if you go to a house show and then you go to a house show a month later, you'll probably see the exact same match move for move. Can't do that when you're in the same town every night. You can't cut the same promos. The fans will see through you. And so what it leads to is you either become very, very talented, you become a very good worker, you become a very good talker, or you get eaten alive. And to me, instead of like moving out of the Impact Zone or getting pissed off at the NXT fans, maybe what you could do is evolve. And I think that that's the best thing for these guys. A guy like CJ Parker needs to be out there in front of these fans. He needs to get these reactions. He needs to learn how to work in front of the same audience every single week and figure out a way to get over. So, I have no problem with these fans. I think these fans are awesome. Let them go and have fun! That's my speech on the NXT fans.
So that was, in fact, NXT.
How long do we go? 15 minutes?
You have the clock.
Was I closer when I said Renee was very upset about that?
Yeah. Speaking of Renee Young and the backstage interviewer, they have a new one. Her name is Devin.
Love her.
She was there to interview Bo Dallas. And Bo walked in and said, "Hi, Devin." And Devin said, "Hi, Bo." It was the happiest interview I ever saw. So they were talking a little bit about the Sami Zayn, Adrian Neville main event match here. And as they were talking, CJ Parker showed up and just made a spectacle of himself. Bo asked when the last time Parker even won a match. And finally, Parker challenged Bo to a match, and Bo accepted. And it's funny, because Bo's whole gimmick is that he thinks he's a babyface, but he's super annoying and everyone hates him. Meanwhile, CJ Parker is supposed to be a babyface, but he's super annoying and I fucking hate him. I hate him way more than I hate Bo Dallas.
That's saying something, because Bo Dallas is just hideously bad. He's just horrendous. Pauly Shore guy, also hideously bad and horrendous. And as much as I like NXT most weeks, if you have a friend who likes wrestling and you want to get him in NXT, absolutely at all costs, do not let them watch this promo. This is the absolute dirt worst of NXT. If someone tried to introduce me to NXT and this was the first thing they showed me, I'd never watch this show again.
Yeah.
It was absolutely infuriating. And are you aware that Devin has a broadcast background?
I knew nothing about this.
You'd never know.
Yeah.
She may have been the microphone. I don't know.
So we got CJ Parker versus Bo Dallas.
This was where I could not understand if Renee was a babyface or a heel. She was sitting there, and she's putting over Bo's world tour. Like, it's great, she says. He went all over the world. He was representing the championship in Bolivia and wherever else he went. And she's talking about, like, it's a legit big deal, and he's a legitimate great champion. It's just, I was baffled.
I heard those comments. I think the intent was she was supposed to be sarcastic.
Well, if she was being sarcastic...
Yeah. She was not delivering it very well.
She was doing a poor job of sarcastic delivery because I believed every word she said, and I thought she was crazy.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I zoned out during this match because it was Bo Dallas versus CJ Parker, and I, honest to God, I remember nothing but like an explosion of colors, and Bo won.
You know how usually you see something horrible, and you're amazed by it, and then you see it horrible a bunch more times, and you're only slightly annoyed, and then eventually you've seen it so many times you just don't even care anymore? CJ Parker is the opposite of that. Every time I see him, I hate him more than I hated in the last segment. His music sucks. His video sucks. His dancing sucks. His facials suck. His gear sucks.
That about covers it.
Yeah. So the fans hate Bo. They're not really big into CJ. They were chanting for Tyler Breeze. And finally, Parker went up top, and Bo nutted him on the ropes and hit a tornado bulldog for the win. CJ Parker wrestled Antonio Cesaro. There were people chanting and chartered Parker to change his gimmick. I joined them.
God, this guy was hated. Just hated. Didn't help he was facing Cesaro, who is loved.
That also, well, yes. The announcers said Parker felt that he should be doing much better at this point in his career. Well, if he had a better gimmick, that would probably work. So this match had the best finish I've ever seen. CJ Parker grabbed Antonio Cesaro, hit him with an airplane spin. And as he's spinning him around, everyone booed.
Oh, yeah.
Because A, he's CJ Parker, and B, he had the temerity to try to hit Antonio Cesaro with a spin-based move.
This was his comeback. He was supposed to be the babyface. Mm-hmm. This was his comeback. It was met with first silence and then booing.
Right. So he sets Cesaro down, and Parker begins to stumble around the ring while Cesaro just stands like an oak.
Yes. Parker got dizzy off his own move.
Yes. But Antonio Cesaro is impervious to dizziness. So he just cracked his neck a couple of times, grabbed Parker, hit a giant swing, and then hit the neutral laser for the win. 5-star finish.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome.
This Parker geek. And it gets worse for him.
Oh, well,
and us.
I guess much worse for us. Sami Zayn came out on crutches for a promo. Said 2014 was off to a rocky start, with his, crutches. But he is coming off the best year of his career, including the best of 3 falls match with Cesaro. That was the NXT match of the year.
Which he lost.
Well, he pointed that out. He said, it's a black mark for me because I lost that match. I need to fix that, and I'm asking you for a rematch. Cesaro walked up the ramp, looked him in the eye, and said, no. And he dropped the mic and he went backstage.
This was awesome because it was so easy. Sami Zayn wants a match with Cesaro because they had the match of the year in NXT, and Cesaro beat him. And he wants to avenge his loss with a rematch. He asks the guy for the rematch. Cesaro, a classic heel, just says no. And a fan in the crowd is so impassioned by this that as Cesaro walks off stage, this fan screams, "He's scared!" In 2014,
Yeah.
this fan was upset at Cesaro for being scared. That was awesome. Speaking of awesome.
I guess you can say that. We then had a segment straight out of my nightmares.
This fucking segment.
Miz was doing a backstage promo. He threatened to do a Miz TV segment when CJ Parker arrived.
Meeting of the minds.
Holy God in heaven.
This had to have been done on purpose. Who is the most annoying person we can put with Miz? Thought Dusty Rhodes. I've got it!
I realize that there are still 11 months to go in the year, but this was the most annoying segment of 2014. These two assholes just going back and forth. Parker bitching about the fans booing him. Miz saying, really? Parker calling Miz, and I quote, hot boy. He called him hot boy. He slapped Miz. Miz made a mean guy face, and CJ Parker ran away.
Yeah.
And
he was
now,
intimidated by the Miz.
Now they're going to have a match. No!
I'll tell you what's even better. My fucking Hulu broke in the middle of this.
I bet.
It literally, in the middle of this segment, just froze. And I had to stare at these two fuckers on my screen for like 30 seconds before it booted back up again.
Probably
They
fainted.
broke my Roku, my Apple TV, whatever I've got. They broke it.
They broke me.
And now they're going to have... I hadn't even thought about this.
Yeah.
They may have a feud.
Oh, God.
Not just a match. They may have a feud. I don't read NXT spoilers. I want to be surprised. But I may have to read the spoilers to find out if I'm going to watch this show for the next few weeks. I should probably watch it. I should probably watch it because there'll be nothing like it the rest of the year.
That's for sure.
It's too bad that the Observer Awards are another 11 months away. People will probably have forgotten about this. And if not...
And then we had the match I was dreading.
Holy God.
The Miz and CJ Parker.
I can't even talk about Miz matches anymore. Somebody on the board was talking about Vince Russo, and you know, I had a good joke on the board today. Did you see this?
No, Brian, I missed your good joke this day.
This is a good one, if I do say so myself. I think it was in the. I'm going to find it here. Everyone, hold on a second, because I got to. I got to read my joke, and then I'm going to load up my... Okay, I found it. So, Lil Nate posted, here's the subject. New super dope discovered. German TV channel has discovered a new super dope in Russia that is undetectable by WADA. It works twice as fast as detectable dope. And he's got a bunch of articles here, and you can... Expect Russia, he said, to get a shitload of medals. So, I responded that I expected this to be the discovery of another Vince Russo.
Aha.
New super dope. But anyway, so somebody was mentioning that ever since, this is what they said, ever since I wrote Death of WCW, I've held a grudge against Vince Russo. A grudge. Like this is middle school. I don't give a shit about Vince Russo. Artie Reynolds once had Vince Russo on his show. Artie Reynolds, by the way, everybody, co-author of Death of WCW. He once had Vince Russo on his show, and they went for 45 minutes, and they made an agreement. We will talk about anything in the world except pro wrestling. And so they went like 45 minutes, and apparently they got along great, had a lot of fun together, great conversation. Life was wonderful. I'll bet that if Vince Russo and I hung out together and didn't talk at all about professional wrestling, it'd be the exact same thing. But when it comes to professional wrestling, this guy is a complete idiot and has been forever. This is not a grudge. Now, the subject of The Miz, I hold no grudge against The Miz. Unfortunately, I think he's no good at anything he does. I don't dislike the guy. I would love if he were great at everything that he did. But he came out here in this match, and he tried to be Ric Flair. He did all of the Ric Flair spots, minus being thrown off the top rope. He did a bunch of chops.
Yes.
He did the gimmick where the guy goes for an atomic drop, and he no-sells it, and then does a chop. He did a figure four. It was like he was trying to do a Ric Flair match. He sucks at being Ric Flair. And furthermore, of these two guys, I thought CJ Parker in the ring looked way more impressive than The Miz. This was, at best, an average indie match.
Yeah.
And this guy's a former world champion.
Former Mania main eventer.
WWE champion. Yeah, WrestleMania main eventer. But of course, I'm going to point out facts. And it is a fact that he tried to do a Ric Flair match and failed. It is a fact that he looked bad in this match and that he was overshadowed by CJ Parker. And it's a fact that this was at best an indie match. And now I'm going to have to read that I hold a grudge against The Miz for spouting these facts. Am I wrong about any of this?
I don't think so. Well, some of it's your opinion and not a fact, but otherwise.
No, these are all facts. What did I say that was an opinion?
Well, I guess what you said is it's a fact that I don't think he's good at anything, which I suppose is true.
It's true. That's a fact.
Yes.
What is he good at?
I don't know. Honestly, all they got out of this match was it was much, much better than I was expecting. Both guys are left-handed. Miz referred to...
irony.
Yeah. Regal referred to Miz as, quote, Kermit without the talent.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're an untalented puppet.
Yes. And Miz won with a figure four.
Other than that,
I expected much worse.
it was better than I expected.
It was complete. It was not a hateable match. And believe me, I have no problem hating things.
I hated the anticipation much more than the match itself.
I did hate the angle that set it up.
That was bad.
And if they come back next week, I will hate them again.
Wow.
Sami Zayn cut a backstage promo.
I'll give him a chance.
He said that Antonio Cesaro had declined his rematch, but he wanted Antonio to say it.
Ty Dillinger versus CJ Parker. For those of you who are paying attention to this kind of thing, Ty Dillinger is the former Shawn Spears. Fans still hate Parker, and so they cheered literally everything Dillinger did. But it didn't matter. Parker won with an airplane spin in the palm strike. And he got a promo saying he did not understand why people booed him, even though he recycled and he drove a Ford Fiesta. He yelled at the fans for burning down trees, melting the eye caps, and poaching the animals. And as a result
Burning
of this
down
tongue-lashing,
trees?
that's one of the things he said, yes.
Huh.
And the crowd responded to this tongue-lashing by chanting, USA, USA. So they're fine with melting ice caps and burning down trees and poaching animals. So he said they had no love for him, so he had no love for them, and he left. And so now he is a mean hippie.
Yeah, that's what we need. I liked when the fans chanted Purple Power at Ty Dillinger because they hated CJ Parker so much.
They hated CJ Parker so much they would chant for anyone, and they happen to have purple gear, so they chanted Purple Power.
And what
All I
happened to
can say
CJ Parker afterwards? He was all cock-a-hoop. Doesn't matter. They built up the match big. They put the guy over as big as they could before they beat him. You had, Cesaro coming back and giving him a big hug, and people loved it. I don't think it hurt Zayn, but I don't know. Just following the story, I thought he should have won, but such is life.
You're right. It was Devin.
She's
Devin,
so pretty and so clueless.
She looks nothing like Renee, by the way. I'm an idiot. Devin interviews CJ Parker backstage. Parker had a suit on, and he still has colorful dreadlocks, but they're kind of like pulled up into a ponytail. So he explained, apparently like you, he noticed that Mojo was a little bit flabby. He was appalled at Mojo's fast food diet, saying he was the kind of guy who would eat 10 cheeseburgers and throw the wrappers out the window. He had to finish Mojo off, and then he dumped a cheeseburger wrapper into a recycling bin.
Does CJ Parker's character really need to wear a vest and a collared shirt? Come on.
Doesn't matter.
You know what? It actually does matter. It's one of those little things that they do. You're a WWE superstar. You've got to wear something nice. And meanwhile, your character is CJ Parker, who lives in a convent or whatever they say, and he's forced to go out there in a nice suit. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but CJ Parker, so it sucks no matter what.
Well, that's true, but
all right. Tyler Breeze was supposed to wrestle Sami Zayn.
Let's start with NXT. We'll save Total Divas for the end.
NXT. This was like a nothing show until literally the very last move, and then it became must-see television. The theme of the show, it was all rematches from the Arrival show. So we started with Mojo Rawley versus CJ Parker. Parker still has the same hairdo, same gear, same video, same music, same dance moves, but now he is supposed to be a mean hippie.
The classic mean hippie gimmick.
Yeah. They went a little longer than most Mojo matches. Sold a little bit more. Mostly just both guys throwing bad punches. And then Mojo hit his comeback, the shoulder blocks. Be careful with that one. Hip attack, the sit-down splash, and the win. That was that. And Parker was throwing a tantrum afterwards, and I believe some vomit came out of his mouth.
Yeah, this the most notable thing about this in the entire show, as Dave noted the other day, is the Alex Riley full heel turn. Oh my God. I liked Alex Riley as an announcer, but he became insufferable over the course of one show, just like me and Todd on Thursday, when one show, just whole thing. This actually was worse. If you listen to the Todd show and you... Devin and Colley.
I pay $9.99 a month for the network. I got my money's worth in this segment. Devin interviewed the great Colley.
Yeah.
And asked him, how does it feel to be here in NXT for the first time? I believe he responded with, I feeling is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then he added, I'm pretty sure, I feel so much good.
That makes me happy.
He was very happy here.
I like that Great Khali feels so much good.
I do. If Great Khali is feeling so much good, then I think we're all feeling so much good. He spoke on for a bit. Bayley ran up, gave him a hug. CJ Parker arrived. He ran Khali down for a while. Khali spoke in Punjab. Bayley translated it.
In Punjabi.
Punjab.
I don't even think that's the name of the... Anyway.
I believe that's what the announcer said. Or it was actually what Bayley said.
Bayley. She said she was practicing Punjabi.
Yeah. So she...
which was quite a statement.
translated this. Said it was a challenge.
Practicing Punjabi?
I believe. Yeah.
Let's talk about 86.
What?
There's a story I could tell, but I'm just going to move on. Go ahead.
Bayley translated this as a challenge to Parker for next week. And then she and Khali left, and Khali said, thank you for talking for me.
Yes. Thank you for translating.
No, he said talking.
Oh, did he?
Pretty sure he said talking. This is the best thing I've seen all month. Well, that's not true at all, but it's the best thing I saw in this week. This particular show we're talking about here. CJ Parker came out for a promo. He was ranting about changing the world when the great Khali interrupted.
Khali does not care about the environment.
Neither do the fans in Florida. As Great Khali was destroying CJ Parker, the fans in Florida chanted, global warming.
I liked when he was sitting there doing his promo and he's talking about how he sat in bed at night and he wondered what the world would be like without the NXT universe. It would be a place he would be proud to call home, he said. Everything would be fuel efficient. And as he's speaking, Regal just says, I should punch him in the face. Also not a fan of fuel efficiency, William Regal.
So, we had Khali versus Parker. Regal's best line of the show, and I'm not sure this even counts as a line as much as just a statement. Khali once hit me in the head so hard, my hip went out of joint.
That's what he said. It's funnier the first time because I had to rewind it because at first I thought he said he hit him so hard his head went out of joint.
So, they were talking about Parker's gimmick and how he is the Prius and Khali is the SUV. I think Parker would have had a better match with an actual SUV.
He's the SUC.
Bryan. Very harsh.
Where's your drop?
I'm trying to find it.
The wah wah. So Kali shot Parker a lot, and Parker bumped all over the place, and
Right on time. It's all about timing.
Yes.
and Kali won with a tree slam.
My son was watching this with me, and he looks at me and goes, Dad, see, that's why that guy will never get into WWE.
Can't beat Kali.
Right.
Wow.
Sorry, Mr. Parker. Craig's son has spoken.
Yes.
Angelo Dawkins versus Big Cass. CJ Parker was in the crowd waving environmental signs.
What's so funny, Craig?
This guy sucked.
Who? Cass?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like Big Cass. Are
Why?
you sure you're not talking about Angelo Dawkins?
No, he was the guy from New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hated
Queens.
this guy.
You hated him.
Hated him.
Wow.
Just a,
I think he's pretty
Yeah.
talented.
all right.
He is tall,
He's tall.
so that will that's always a plus.
It's like a grease ball.
And this comes.
He's very much like Edge.
Yeah.
You
You're
compared
telling
that guy to
me
Edge?
You're telling me that this Angel whatever looks like Maria Menounos and Big Cass doesn't look like Edge?
Right.
You're an idiot.
Thank you.
Go on, Vinny.
All right. So I don't know why Angelo
Solve that
Dawkins
debate.
got offense, but he did. Yeah. Xavier Woods versus Bull Dempsey.
Mm-hmm.
CJ Parker was out there harassing people.
I got-
CJ Parker versus Steve Cutler.
A middleweight Uriah Faber. That's what this guy was.
So Parker's got the new gimmick. He's the heel hippie instead of the heroic hippie. This means he has a new video and a new entrance theme, so it's already a giant improvement. He won with a heel kick, not the palm strike, which I think that's stupid. I like this palm strike move. That was like the only part of his whole act I liked was that palm strike. And then he cut a promo saying Xavier Woods had wasted his opportunity in WWE by dancing with Funkadactyls, and if Parker had had that spot, he would have won championships. And he vowed to beat Woods and take his roster spot. This is a good reason for two random dudes to feud.
Except if I were him, I wouldn't want his roster spot.
Well, if he had the spot, he would put it to better use than Woods has done.
see.
Yes.
I see.
Woods is wasting it.
Well,
Yeah.
has CJ Parker lost a great deal of weight? Because he has these giant stretch marks all over his chest. No one knows. All right, move on.
I don't know. I noticed. I did notice them too.
Yeah.
CJ Parker came out.
Does that mean we're going to get the fall of summer later?
That's a good question. It sounds sad.
It does. I don't want to see that.
No. CJ Parker came out. He called out Xavier Woods. So Woods comes out in this amazing grayish blue shiny suit. I need to get married again so I can wear this.
Please, no. Not for a while.
So, indeed. So, they're talking face to face. Parker's like 5 inches taller than Woods, maybe more. I did not realize he was that big. I knew, and Woods is not the biggest guy in the world. Parker's way bigger than him. So Parker explained that last week, with adrenaline pumping through his veins, he had cut a promo on Woods. He had said some mean things that he regretted. He was sorry, and he offered an apology. It's a very mature, responsible thing to do. Woods blew off this handshake. He threatened to yank Parker's dreads out. He responded to this apology with threats of violence. Then Parker tried one more time. He said he just wanted peace. He held up the peace sign. And Woods gave him a different sign that I didn't recognize, but I'm sure it was negative. And he blew Parker off, and he walked away. And I thought to myself, what a dick Xavier Woods is. This man has come to you to apologize for his mistakes and ask for your forgiveness, and all you have done is A, threaten him with violence, and then B, turn away from him. You deserve to get your ass kicked. And sure enough, CJ Parker kicked his ass. He kicked him right in the head, in fact. Woods had this coming.
You know, did they show a replay of what happened last week?
No.
Okay, because I couldn't remember for the life of me. what had happened last week. And so without that context, yes, CJ Parker looked like a friendly chap, and Xavier Woods looked like a complete dick.
Yes. Well, I do remember the promo, and I can tell you, with the context, it changes nothing.
Huh.
Parker was the babyface here, and Woods was a complete asshole.
I like when Xavier Woods came out and Tensai's on commentary, and he goes, I love that guy. I love Xavier Woods. And I was like, that guy destroyed your team and stole your women.
He did.
And you're now a commentator in NXT.
Yes.
You must really love that job.
He effectively retired you.
He ended everything about your active career.
Yes.
I mean, Christ. The women on top of everything else. You know what I mean? Like maybe
That should be first on the list.
Maybe Tensai was ready to leave the ring and go to the commentary booth. At least he'd still have his ladies.
Yeah.
But no, Woods took them as well. And boy, did they... I could not believe their idea for this segment was, first off, whatever it was what it was. But then Xavier turns his back, and CJ is supposed to hit him with his finisher, his high kick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's supposed to kick him. He's supposed to do his high kick to the back of Xavier Woods' head.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not safe.
No.
And it's very hard to pull off. Nigh impossible. So what happened was CJ completely whiffed the kick.
He went way over his head.
He kicked completely over his head, and then Xavier Woods had to just fall down, stunned.
Next up was CJ Parker, and he wrestled Xavier Woods.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of CJ Parker.
It appears no one is.
How do you do this? Oh, yeah, you build him up, and then you bring him down. CJ Parker is a little boring. That's about it. His hair sucks. But anyway, he came up with a sign, and the sign said, and I quote, "Stop frickin' fracking."
Now, I got to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. That's what it was supposed to say.
Right.
But what it really said was, stop frilkin' frackin'. I think he spelled frickin' wrong. So what I did was I went to Urban Dictionary because I did not know what frilkin' or frackin' meant.
Is that right?
Yes. So according to Urban Dictionary, fracking is a Southern slang term for fucking. That's what it said. There was no definition in the Urban Dictionary. And if you've ever been to the Urban Dictionary, there is a definition for goddamn near everything.
Right.
There was no definition for frilkin. So I think that he meant stop frickin' frackin'.
That's what I wrote.
Which translated would mean stop fucking.
That's not on the table for me.
What does that have to do with anything? What did this sign mean?
I don't know.
Huh.
Maybe that hair is holding him back in the bedroom.
It could be.
Maybe.
It's holding him back in the ring.
You know, when people do dreadlocks, I've been around a lot of hippies. I grew up here in the 90s and went to, I think I figured it out. I've been to over 275 concerts in my life.
That's crazy. It's a lot of that money. You could be retired by now.
Shut up. I don't want to think about it. But I saw a girl do her own dreadlocks, and she used honey.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's what I'm going to use when I do my dreadlocks.
Her hair up. Unbelievable.
By the way, everybody, if you really want to know what fracking is, it is hydraulic fracturing. And there is a website that you can go to called Dangers of Fracking, which you can go to at work, by the way. It's not what you think.
I see.
But yes, you can find out why frickin' fracking is so dangerous. And I can thank CJ Parker for alerting me to the dangers of fracking.
You know, they did make a whole movie on this with Matt Damon just last year.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I think it was called Promised Land.
I missed that one.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, Xavier Woods interrupted him as he was into his speech and quickly took the offense. Wood missed a shoulder block and hit the post instead. Parker then hit double knees to the back in the corner and a Randy Savage-style axe handle. Woods got his knees up on Parker's senton, and then he hit what can only be described as a really ugly coast-to-coast elbow drop. Woods then went for his DDT from the outside, but Parker essentially hit him with a modified attitude adjustment and took the pinfall.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
I was bored.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, God bless this CJ Parker fella, but
there you go.
Nobody gives a shit about his matches. Just dead silence. Although I do have to give them credit. They did get the fans into the match by the end when they did a bunch of moves.
Yes, absolutely.
But prior to that, nobody cared one bit. Maybe they were all gooling fracking.
Maybe. We then had Tyler Breeze on the NXT Tron, and he challenged Adrian Neville for the world title. He invited his followers to join the era of gorgeous.
You know, what's funny is he says, it is now time for me to get my title shot against Adrian Neville. It is time for the era of gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And then he proceeded to...
CJ Parker versus Baron Corbin.
This was amazing.
This was amazing. First of all, I was flabbergasted this was taking place on the special. Then they said that Baron Corbin, who I have seen maybe a dozen times, was making his official NXT debut.
I was so baffled by that. I was like, I watch this show every week, and I've seen Baron Corbin countless times.
Yes.
And now, officially, it's not even like they gave him a new name.
No.
You know what I mean? Like Adam Rose gets a new name, and he debuts on NXT. Yes. Same dude, same name, same everything.
He lost some, he leaned down some. But here in his NXT debut, the crowd was chanting his name before he even did anything. Because they knew who he was, because it was not his debut. And then he pinned CJ Parker in about 15 seconds.
You know what I love about NXT? And I absolutely, it didn't hit me until Baron Corbin came out. The NXT audience is small, but they are very, very passionate. And they are not a typical WWE audience. A lot of friends and family of the wrestlers and some hardcores, and not a lot of them. And as a result, unlike WWE, in NXT, you can be a jobber for months. And you come out one day and you get a big win, and everybody accepts you.
That's a good point.
It is so completely like WWE, where they'll bury Jack Swagger. Actually, the Jack Swagger thing actually got over briefly. But if you really try to push Jack Swagger as a top guy, nobody's going to buy it. Nobody's going to buy it if you try and push Zack Ryder or any of these guys that have been mired in the mid-card. They are slotted. And in NXT, there's no slotting. Baron Corbin was a complete nobody on television forever, despite what they said. And he came out here and he destroyed this guy. And all of a sudden everyone was like, oh my God, Baron Corbin. They're all cheering and clapping and everything like that. Now he's a guy.
Yeah.
This is awesome. I love this show.
As for CJ Parker, it sucks to be him.
Well, yeah. I hope this doesn't mean he's being called up.
We had completely opposite reactions to this.
Yes, we did.
You thought he may get called up. I figured he was getting turfed.
Well, either one.
Yeah.
They usually don't turf the main roster guys. It happens occasionally.
CJ Parker?
But I mean, I'm talking main roster NXT, because there are tons of guys that work, that are down in developmental that never make TV. Those are the ones that you usually hear about getting cut.
Okay, yeah.
They see something in CJ. That's why he's on TV. Think about that.
CJ Parker versus Baron Corbin. A rematch from TakeOver.
Why would they have a rematch?
They explained this.
Yes.
CJ Parker said that he wanted a rematch because at TakeOver he was not ready.
Yeah. Oh, that was I enjoyed that.
So
that is a good excuse. I wasn't ready.
So at TakeOver, Parker lost in 15 seconds. Here, he was ready. He lost in 30 seconds.
Yeah, great. Hey, he did better.
I suppose.
A moral victory.
Yes.
It took the man twice as long to destroy him.
They call Corbin's move the end of days, which is way too close to the fall of man. But between his size, his hair, his beard, and his tattoos, Baron Corbin is a great look. And he's a big, scary guy, and of course he has no trouble throwing CJ Parker around. So it opened with Kevin Owens versus CJ Parker. And Owens has lost a ton of weight. Probably 40 pounds or more since his biggest. In every other way, he is completely Kevin Steen. To the point where it sounded weird when she said Kevin Owens. I completely expected her to screw up and announce his name as Steen.
There's a chance she never saw Kevin
That's
Steen.
actually a very good chance. But
he got Cassius Ohno's KO gimmick.
he did get the KO gimmick. He's got the KO
Yep.
shirt, and they put his logo on the screen. And he ran wild, hit a big cannonball in the corner, and a big flip tope onto the ramp, and Parker didn't do very much to catch him. So I hope he does not do that move often. And then Parker cut him off with a high kick, and he had some very, very fake-looking offense. But in the process, he also busted Owens open. This is the worst possible kind of offense. It looks bad and hurts.
You know his goofy palm strike?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what busted Owens open.
That's not good.
Such a stupid move, and he hurt the guy.
Yeah. So, Owens cut him off, hit a convoluted brainbuster onto his knee kind of thing, and a pop-up powerbomb for the win. Great debut, and the NXT crowd treated him like a star from the get-go.
I loved when he was down selling, and the fans chanted, "Fight, Owen, fight," to set up his comeback.
Mm-hmm.
If that catches on,
Well, it won't now.
it's so awesome. Every time the man sells, they chanted him to fight. It's great. This was a great debut. Fans just went nuts. This is awesome chants. Fight Owens, fight throughout the match. I loved it. 2 thumbs up.
This was great.
This was better than anything on the TLC pay-per-view.
Actually, yes. The Ziggler match may have been more exciting, but this was better. This was more well done. CJ Parker versus Baron Corbin. Corbin squashed him. The crowd chanted to 34, which means it probably took about 25 seconds or so. And then Corbin cut a promo asking Dempsey if he was going to stand there all day looking scared or if they were going to do this. It was not a great promo. And he dragged Bull over the guardrail. They had... If I had seen this first, I'd have said, man, that was one hell of a stiff brawl. But I watched this immediately after watching New Japan.
Yeah.
They had a brawl.
You know, they got to do something with this crowd chant deal because there's essentially 2 things that can happen. Number 1, they got to find a way to kill it. Or number 2, great way to turn the guy heel. Just stay in the ring for 2 minutes.
Yeah, to stop doing moves.
But they did count to 33, and I was shocked they just kept counting. And the funny thing is, they didn't even stop counting when he hit his finish. They didn't, cheer his finish because he hit his finish and the match was over. They just kept on counting until the referee was done. They don't care about the guy. They just love the gimmick of counting.
All he has to do...
Although there are some chicks that love the guy. It's quite clear.
Oh, yeah. But all he has to do is get it up to about 20, 25 seconds and then do a snap mare and a chin lock. And everyone will hate him.
Yes, basically.
Yeah. CJ Parker came out to cut an angry promo about being left off the special.
What the hell was on his head?
He had tied his dreads up in an orange thing.
All I know is I would love to grow my hair like CJ Parker, but I can't because then I would look like CJ Parker.
Well, that makes no sense what you just said.
I don't want people saying, Bryan, why do you want to look like CJ Parker?
So basically, you don't want to admit that you think CJ Parker has cool hair.
Well, he does have cool hair, but it's fucking CJ Parker.
It is CJ Parker.
Yeah.
Actually, I've never liked CJ Parker more than when he declared, I hate all you people. I hate NXT.
It's terrible.
He declared he was holding the show hostage. He began to stretch caution tape around the ring. And static then appeared on the big screen once or twice. And then over the entire TV picture. And suddenly Solomon Crow zoomed in from out of nowhere.
A troll doll came out.
That's what I wrote.
It's what he is.
I wrote, what an odd little troll of a man this is.
He's a troll doll. He's a babyface hacker.
He
Just
is.
think about that in 2015. His gimmick is he's a babyface hacker.
He is short. He is powerfully built. He is, spite his black hair, not just like a troll doll. It's like a big point behind his head. Came in wearing a leather jacket, laid out as Parker, hit a weird kind of seesaw splash off the ropes, grimaced a while, grabbed a mic and declared we would now return to our regularly scheduled program and disappeared.
That was his debut?
This is nutty.
Yeah, this troll doll here needs wider trunks. I don't know why, but he's got the old... It's not exactly like Taz's old outfit, but it's one of those deals where he's not wearing a thong, but it's more thongy than your normal trunks because his ass is so wide, and the trunks seem to be shorter for some reason, or thinner, or more narrow. I don't even know what you would call it, but he needs more trunks.
Good to know.
Yeah.
CJ Parker versus Alex Riley.
Oh, it's John Cena's gym.
Oh, really?
Well, that explains that. How did I not know that he owned a gym called Hard Knocks?
You can't see the letter K in Knox.
Yeah.
If you still haven't heard about the latest sale...
I'm on WWE.com, and there's a horrendous ad.
Is that Jimmy Hart?
From Hotels.com.
I guess not.
But it says, take a look inside John Cena's Hard Knocks gym, where the C Nation leader goes to clear his head and train in earnest for his match with The Rock at WrestleMania. Clearly, this is an outdated video.
In earnest, you say?
Yeah, he's training in earnest.
He's not half-assing it?
Well, I think earnest is in Massachusetts. I'm not sure.
Oh, there you go. So CJ Parker wrestled Alex Riley. Talked about Alex's hair. That's important. Talked about how... I mean, he comes out on stage, his music plays, and thank God they're still using the cool music he had in WWE. But they got the big Tron, and suddenly the Tron is just filled with 4 giant letters reading, Rage!
Oh, Christ. Let me talk about this match while I'm at it. So, this dude comes out, his hair's all fucked up, he's all jacked up, but the place goes nuts for him. Because as I noted last week, NXT is doing a better job building up Alex Riley than WWE is doing building up Roman Reigns for his championship match. So he gets in the ring, and the place is going nuts, and he's all jacked up, and he's facing tree hugger CJ Parker, who is the jobber of NXT. And what is the first thing that happens? CJ Parker takes him down with a side headlock takeover, and Alex Riley can't get out. And he's on the mat, I swear to God, for a minute in a headlock. His big fucking return and comeback. CJ Parker has him in an unbreakable headlock. So he's laying there on the mat, and he's laying there on the mat, and he's laying there on the mat, and he's laying there on the mat. And I'm like, fucker, get off the mat! Do something here. So he finally starts to get to his feet, and he does like a quick high spot. And I thought, man, this guy doesn't look that bad. That was a good little high spot he did right there. And then he was cut off, and CJ Parker just worked him over forever. And finally, Riley does a comeback. He does 2 neck breakers and wins. That was it. All that for that. That was his big comeback after watching video packages and interviews and hearing about how he's a caged fucking animal doing commentary. And he comes back and gets his ass beaten by CJ Parker and does 2 moves and wins. Suffice to say, when this was over, they may be doing a better job with Roman Reigns. And it is noted, Owens came out and buried him for being an idiot. Rightfully.
And for having a horrible tattoo.
I mentioned that too.
He's a horrible tattoo on his back. It is horrible. Main event was...
Alrighty, NXT.
CJ Parker versus Solomon Crow.
He's back. Well, this was his last match.
So, they start wrestling. And the play-by-play guy, who I think was Rich Parker, but he asks of Corey Graves...
Rich Parker?
Isn't that his name?
Rich Brennan?
Brennan? They're all the same. Point is, he asked Corey Graves, who I can't identify, what makes Solomon Crow so different? Look at him!
Yeah.
He's a troll doll on meth. Everything about him is different.
What did Vampiro say on that show? PCP eyes?
It was actually Stryker, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he ran wild a bit, Solomon Crow did, and he had a big tope, and he stopped to make funny faces for the camera. I don't think he was trying to be funny. I think he was trying to be intense and angry, but he looked funny. There's a way for small men to still be badasses. This isn't it. And not much happened in the heat. Crow took a cool bump off a clothesline. He made his comeback at a splash to the leg, and then got the win with a stretch muffler, which is a much better finish than that wacky seesaw thing he was doing.
It is funny to watch a guy set up a stretch muffler by doing a gigantic top rope full splash onto a guy's leg.
Yeah.
This is a high-impact splash off the top rope to set up a stretch muffler.
And then he cut a quick promo just to get over his catchphrase, which is, "We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming."
No.
I'm serious. That's his catchphrase.
It's a good thing that C.J. Parker has decided to leave because his gimmick was death, and he was a developmental jobber. And literally, there is nothing in the world worse than being a developmental jobber. He would have been Bo Dallas on the main roster. And I don't know.
You'll know Bo Dallas has not been seen in 6 months.
No. And yes, the troll doll is, as I wrote here, a physical monstrosity.
But he's not plain.
No.
He stands out.
Yes, he does.
Sami Zayn cut a backstage promo.
Yeah.
C.J. Parker versus Hideo Itami.
Oh, man. The tree hugger's still here.
Yeah.
And nothing against the guy, but he's leaving.
They must not have known when this was put together.
Why the hell? I mean, I don't know when they taped this. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But, I mean, Hideo did come out and say, "I'm back." So, I mean, maybe they knew that he was going to be gone, or maybe he was gone for another reason. I don't know. But the point of it is, I don't know. It was
C.J. Parker
and
beat him
Hideo
up forever.
Itami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And C.J. Parker beat up Kenta forever. And then, you'll recall, when they first signed this man, he had a line in one of his promos where he said, "My style is kick, so I kick your ass."
Yes.
Confirmed. His comeback consisted of like 2 clotheslines and 8,000 kicks. And he put CJ away with the Roderick Strong sick kick, running kick to the face, and basically colliding it over CJ like a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Pinned him.
What annoyed me about this match, besides the fact that Hideo Itami sold forever to C.J. Parker before he finally won, is the announcers, whether this was taped after Mania or post-produced after Mania. Oh my God, they just had to go on and on and on and on about what a big deal it was that Hideo Itami had made an appearance at WrestleMania. They wouldn't shut up about it. And it was just a classic example of, hey, fuckers, I saw it with my own eyes. He was a jobber. Like, quit trying to sit here and tell me that this was like a big deal for his career. It wasn't. If anything, it hurt his fucking career.
Yeah.
If he'd gone and won, that'd be one thing, but it was such a try hard. Like, I don't know. It just made NXT come off as like they were back to being a developmental brand here. I mean, all WrestleMania weekend, all Triple H and all these wrestlers and everybody talked about was, this ain't developmental anymore. This is another brand. And you watch what they did to Hideo, and then you watch about how the announcers are trying so hard to make it seem like it wasn't a big deal, when you know it was a big deal. It just made it come off as like, this is just a secondary promotion. Just a little secondary developmental promotion, and guys are lucky to get thrown a bone to be in a WrestleMania Battle Royal that's on the pre-show that they get eliminated in. It just sucked. They should have just never talked about it again. I honest to God think that would have been better, to never acknowledge it again. Talking about it just makes it worse.
That was a long rant about old news.
Well, they just kept bringing it up. They won't shut up about it.
They did pick the scab.
If they keep talking about it in 3 weeks, I'm going to just punch the television.